Maverick. This non-binary gender identity emphasizes the inner experience of gender. It describes those who experience gender or have a core gender identity that's independent of existing categories and definitions of gender, such as male or female, man or woman, masculine or feminine, and androgynous and neutral. Honestly, I'd give them points if they start making sense, but they really don't. Okay, friends, so let me touch on this today. I know the conversation has heavily focused around the trans issue, simply because the movement has basically wrongly reframed sexuality as a dating preference. So now nobody knows really what a dating preference is. Sexuality and dating preferences are in fact two very different things. Sexuality, to put it simply, is just a sex category you'd like to sleep with as either a man or a woman, so male or female. So if you're a female and you exclusively want to have sexual interactions with another female, you're a lesbian. If you are a female and you exclusively want to have sexual relations with a male, you're heterosexual. And if you're female and you enjoy both, then you're bisexual. And this is the same concept if you are male. So I don't mean to sound condescending, it's just right now I feel that a lot of younger people and the younger generation is being totally misled into to understanding what gender and sexuality is. And there is even reports of teachers reporting that actual male pupils are actually scared to get pregnant. So thank you, gender ideology. Dating preferences, on the other end, is the type of person or personality that you wish to become intimate with. All right, so if I give you a few examples of dating preferences, it could be an aesthetic, personality, the career type, interest, values, boundaries, race, class, life experience, education, life skills, politics, physical ability, age, religion, culture, etc. I'm giving you loads of examples here, but these are your dating preferences. So within your sex category, what type of person you'd feel most comfortable getting intimate with. As a lesbian, I am exclusively attracted to women as a sex class. Now, my dating preferences means that I am not going to date every single woman or want to be dating them. My dating preferences is what is making me not jump and marry any lesbian that I see, despite me being attracted to women. So when I ask the question, which dating preferences are discriminatory? I'm asking if there's anything that we want in a sexual partner that would be deemed discriminatory. And the answer is no. There is nothing. There is no such thing. Dating is discriminatory by nature. It's ruthless, and rejection hits hard no matter who you are and how many times you are rejected. Let's look into this a little further. With the rise and normalization of porn and kink, our younger generation are being taught that sex is just a transaction and has no boundaries. And in that world, the less boundaries you have, the better. Right now, the kids are on board, but in a few years, they will realize that this approach is what has left them traumatized. Sex is an extremely vulnerable and intimate act. It requires physical attraction, it requires being attracted to the person, attracted to the personality. It requires trust, it requires respect, and it requires really good communication. When these are not present, trust me, your experiences will stay with you and not in a good way. And I'll go a little bit further to say that if many of these points are not present, then you don't have full consent. Have you ever slept with a person of the sex you were not attracted to? Have you ever slept with somebody who was physically attractive, but you did not connect and ended up having really awkward sex? Have you ever slept with anyone who you connected with but didn't find attractive? Have you ever tried to date outside of your boundaries and then realized that maybe you should have stuck to those boundaries? Please let me know in the comment section if you have gone through this and how it felt to you. Did it feel good, or did it feel like a terrible experience that sometimes keeps you awake at night? Now, you decide what your sexual boundaries are when it comes to dating, when it comes to having a sexual encounter. And please be aware of anyone who is trying to make you feel guilty for having any boundaries when it comes to sex or intimacy or dating or anything. And due to the current climate, let me just say that sexual preferences or dating preferences aren't criminal acts. So if your sexual preferences comes with a prison sentence, then that's probably not a sexual preference, it is a crime. I just feel like I have to say that. Now, I stumbled on this the other day on Facebook, which prompted me to make this video. I don't get why so many lesbians don't want to date bi women. Do you have any idea how easy it is to impress a girl who's used to dating men? Like, girl, there is nothing to get. It's really not that deep. Some lesbians don't date bisexuals. Some lesbians don't date any women who have been with men in the past. Lesbians will exclude other women simply based on different political alignment. Some lesbians won't date even other lesbians who are not into radical feminism. It's really not that deep. It's their boundaries. But of course, a post like this will attract really creepy comments like these. Biphobia from people who can't keep a girlfriend is strong here. Not dating bi women because they like men is also not a preference. It's just being discriminatory and insecure. Don't date somebody because the personality sucks or you're not physically attracted to them. Saying, I don't date you because you're bi screams discriminatory mindset. And then there's this one. If you don't self-interrogate discriminatory dating preferences, i.e., why is it you won't date someone bi, a person of color, someone of a certain class, it's a sign of someone of poor growth and self-awareness. You can date who you choose. Literally nobody is forcing anyone to date anyone else here. Oh, really? I'm just pointing out that if your defense is that dating preferences are discriminatory by nature, that's not a clever comeback to me. It's a big fucking red flag. It literally just sounds like the trans right activists trying to force males onto lesbian women. So let me get this straight. Your dating preferences are not discriminatory. They are actually crucial for you to be able to experience complete consensual intimacy with your partner. And only you can decide if you want to change them. Nobody can ask you to interrogate anything. And if they do, they are dabbling in the good old sexual coercion, which is never a good look. Whenever somebody is trying to make you feel guilty for rejecting them intimacy or sex, that is sexual coercion. It's just a slight reminder. For example, I am mixed race. I am of Caribbean Black and European Caucasian descent. I will never call anyone a racist for not dating me on that basis. I know Black people, I know Black members of my family who will not touch a white person. Does that make them racists? No. So I don't know why it's deemed racist for a white person to refuse dating a person of color. Race and culture is heavily intertwined. So I wouldn't be able to date anyone who wouldn't be willing to embrace my culture 100%. And my culture is heavily intertwined with my Black lineage. And I would not date anyone who I thought I could not embrace their culture 100%. Also, I don't and I've never dated anyone younger than me. Does that mean that I'm discriminatory towards young people? No. I wouldn't date someone who wasn't physically able, who had challenges with trauma, past trauma, mental illness, and anxiety. Does that mean that I hate people who are That would include hating myself, by the way. The answer is no. And the beauty is I don't owe anyone an explanation as to why I have those boundaries. And if I ever met someone who fell outside of these boundaries and I decided to change my mind, then only I can do that. My body isn't public property and isn't a public playground, and neither is yours. I personally would hate it if a woman didn't think that I was everything that she was looking for and didn't love me 100% for who I was and what I stood for, my values, etc., and who had to unlearn her discriminatory preferences to be with me. Like, girl, no, don't settle. You know what you want. You know what you like. If I don't perfectly fit the bill, then let me go. Rejection is awful. It's hurtful. Always. But you have to learn to deal with it. If your way of dealing with it is to call people names, lay judgment on them, calling them discriminatory, of poor growth, then maybe repeat the same exact words back to yourself whilst looking at yourself in the mirror. You being super selective about the person that you're wanting to get intimate with and share a personal space with is never a bad thing. And please don't let anyone tell you otherwise. And remember, an abusive personality don't like their victims to have boundaries. They will always make you feel guilty for having them. So please think of that next time that you have somebody make judgment on you for having boundaries. It's okay to not want to date anyone for any reason, and you do not owe anyone an explanation as to why they are not a good fit for you intimately. Nor do you owe anyone a chance or a try or a let's see. And if you want to give anyone a chance, then that should be your own decision, coming from you without any external influences. So which dating preferences are discriminatory? The answer is there aren't any. Zero. None. Stick to your boundaries. Your older self will thank you for that. Stay safe, but not before liking and subscribing to this channel. After. See you. Bye-bye.